And welcome in, everyone. Welcome, come on, come all to the show that is, need I say, hashtag making fantasy great again. With
You
me as
already know.
always, with me as always, the one, the only, the great one himself, Billy Brisbane. How are you today, buddy? I see you're in a new location.
Yeah, man, I'm in a new location, just getting comfortable down here in South Jersey. A little bit bummed out today. A lot of more bigger things going on in the world with
Oh yeah,
social
definitely.
justice problems and stuff like that. So the NBA kind of canceled all their playoff games today. So we're just stuck to MLB and hockey for the evening. But, always make the best of that. So you can catch that at Getting Bills on Twitter, see what I'm playing for tonight.
Yeah, and quickly, we can address what exactly is happening with basketball. I think it was first discussed between the Raptors and the
Celtics.
Celtics that they were considering sitting out of Game One of the semifinals because of the shooting of Jacob Blake in Wisconsin, and Milwaukee, who's a little closer to home, decides to take action first, and here they are. They are also sitting out, which kudos to them. It's a good move. It someone has to take action, and they're
Yeah.
doing their best. They have a voice, a much bigger and brighter voice than we do. So I commend these acts. So kudos again, Milwaukee stepping up, and the NBA. I feel like certain leagues would not tolerate a team boycotting for any reason, and I feel like the NBA is one of those leagues where sorry, where they would be willing to give complete understanding and deal with this together. And as you saw, um, the team themselves, or I'm sorry, the NBA has already declared that they've just postponed these games, and that they're going to, work with the teams who are to play today on playing in the future. Real quick, let's give a shout out to Detroit Beastie, who's commenting. As always, I love the interaction that Detroit Beastie is always giving for us. Chris Robin, go check him out on Twitter. Always pulling out great content. Hot Pucking Stats, one of my favorite titles for DFS articles on hockey. Baseball articles as well. The Crush Spot, I believe he calls it. He's always giving out free lineups and everything. Billy, you've worked with him a few times on DFS things, so you can attest to how much he knows his stuff.
Yeah, for sure, man. One of my best baseball nights was going over there with DFS cheat sheet guys over there.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks again. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Detroit Beastie, for always being so involved with us. We really appreciate it over here. Follow us on Twitter. You can find me at Fantasy Force FB. I retweet a lot of great content. I'm always trying to find, the best content to bring my followers, whether it's mine or not. And I will gladly say it's not always mine. So again, it's all about the content that I'm bringing, regardless of who is creating it. Follow Billy at Getting Bills. Great DFS content. Billy's always tweeting the parlays that he's going
Parlay
with.
Bill.
Parlay Bill. Instagram, also Getting Bills, right, Billy?
Yes. Nah, my Instagram is Train Brisbane.
B Train Brisbane. And then is your Snapchat, which I know you also post parlays on, also B Train Brisbane?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So that is where you can find us, and you can find the show at Dynasty Force Pod on Twitter, YouTube, Dynasty Force Podcast. Find us on Anchor to bring you to whatever listening platform you are on. Anchor.fm/Dynasty-Force. And we have the fantasy forecast Who are these good-looking dudes? That is Trey, who is on Twitter at FFSuperFlexGuru. Go follow him. He's a great follow. Knows his stuff. Trey looks better than both of us combined, so it's very ironic that he's making that comment. But we have a lot of news to get into.
Yeah.
So Billy, let's hit that injury news segment of the show. We're starting off with Kenyon Drake. He's in a walking boot, deemed precautionary. Billy, are you buying that it's precautionary?
My shares say it's precautionary, but if I'm going into a draft today, I'm definitely downgrading Kenyon Drake back down to where he was in the beginning of the all season. It's just one of those injuries that you don't want to see from a non-proven bell cow back. It's not like he's going through a full season grind of being a starting running back. So this is only the start. But he tried to downplay a little bit on Twitter by posting his face saying he's going to win us fantasy leagues this year. So I hope he's right.
I saw that. I mean, I want to buy Kenyon Drake. So, if he kind of falls in redrafts because of this injury, I mean, I might take the chance and then stack Chase Edmonds later. Is that a game plan that you would follow? Say he falls to the mid-second round. You've already got like someone who like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right? You have him as a top 3 back. Kenyon Drake falls to you in the second round. Would you be open to drafting Kenyon Drake there, or would you want to take like a Austin Eckler type?
I kind of want to shoot
draft
for
Chase Edmonds
the
later.
upside of Kenyon Drake, but I feel like not to cut you off, but I feel like Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds' roles are 2 separate roles of itself. So they're not really cutting into each other. They're more of complementary of each other. So I feel like Chase Edmonds is already going to have weeks where he's going to have high upside games. Like, for example, remember Ito Smith last year for the Falcons, the type of pass catching games that he would have over there. And it just turns into a couple splash plays. And I feel like Chase Edmonds has the upside of that, and then also the bell cow upside. But there's also a guy back there. His name is Ito Benjamin, rookie that they got later on in the draft. He's also a name that's been pretty hot commodity as well. So it would be interesting to see if we get any red blurbs from him over the all season.
Yeah, we're going to have to definitely monitor that backfield because there will be fantasy points to get, whether it's Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds, and possibly even Eno Benjamin. Mike Williams might miss week 1. He had a shoulder strain. There was initial worry that it was a broken collarbone. So, I mean, I was kind of off Mike Williams this year. I did not have him in my initial rankings or my updated rankings just because Tyrod Taylor will not give him a ton of opportunity deep. We can't buy into every single Charger offensive piece if we believe it's going to be a low volume passing offense led by Tyrod Taylor. So you saying yes leads me to believe that you agree with me.
Yeah, but I think the one thing that really came out of this was is Keenan Allen just being like really undervalued because he's just one of those names that doesn't really excite fantasy rosters or fantasy owners.
Yeah.
But he just kind of gets a time done again and again, year after year. And I feel like more of the target share is going to go towards Keenan Allen. Especially, I was looking at him for DraftKings week 1 pricing because they play the Bengals week 1. But that's
a great matchup.
Yeah, but man, I feel like we're just undervaluing Keenan Allen. That might be a sneaky PPR guy that you can get later on your drafts to start off your running back heavy teams.
For sure. As far as 49ers news, Brandon Ayuk has a hamstring strain. They are saying that it's mild. However, the 49ers wide receiver core is decimated right now. I tweeted this out the other day. The amount of injuries in the wide receiver core, you not only have Brandon Ayuk, you have Deebo Samuel, you have Richie James, where I know Richie James isn't, a hot commodity, but he's still there. He's still going to receive targets. You have the guys that are left. The best of them is probably Kendrick Bourne, and I don't want to play Kendrick Bourne. So this is why I'm really high on George Kittle. I really think George Kittle will be the tight end one because of necessity. I think Ayuk, this hamstring strain will kind of hinder him a bit, as far as starting off hot. And then Debo Samuel, who knows how much he's hindered by his foot injury. I think by necessity, George Kittle's going to have the best season that he's had to date. Do you agree with that?
I just hope he gets it done in the touchdown department. I think he'll have his best season, but is it going to be better than Kelsey? Who knows? But where he's being drafted at right now, he is a pretty good value. I do like George Kittle and Travis Kelsey. Those are two names that I just kind of get stuck on landing when I'm in like a weird range in the second round. Like that tier after like Godwin and all the running backs go, and it's just like, am I about to go Todd Gurley or Travis Kelsey or Kittle?
Yeah, exactly. You might as well go tight end. I was in a redraft league. What was it? I think it just finished. It was a slow draft and it just finished the other night. I had the 107 and it's a 14-team league. Now it does have a half-point tight end premium. Kittle was there for me in the second round. Kelsey had gone, but Kittle was there, and I did not think twice about taking him there. I really liked the way my team turned out. So I would not be surprised if I go early tight end again to make sure I get either Kittle or Kelsey. I'm happy with either. And then as far as the Texans, Kiki QT sidelined with a stress fracture in his foot. I don't know how much you want to talk about this one because I'm not big on Kiki very at all.
I mean, I just threw this one in there because this one was really big for the people that believe in the target share of Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller, and then my guy Randall Cobb. I think that just solidifies Randall Cobb being the number 3 on this offense and taking the Kiki QT role. And the Kiki QT role last year was very fantasy valuable for flex spots. So yeah. I just thought that one was thrown in there just to say that Randall Cobb is a name worth drafting later in drafts or waiver wire flag for people that are in like shallower leagues.
Yeah, he's along the lines of Golden Tate and Jamison Crowder, what they're going to do this season. He's not going to have that high upside, but he definitely has that high floor that can make him a valuable depth piece. Dynasty news. This is kind of, camp hype.
Coach speak, as we like to say.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy to read through because you can't buy into everything. Auden Tate being the offensive MVP of Bengals camp. Do we even see Auden Tate as a starter, for the Bengals come week 1? He will most certainly be behind AJ Green and Tyler Boyd. So he could be that wide receiver 3 ahead of T. Higgins, maybe John Ross.
Yeah, those are the two names that I feel like this is the reason why it's on the Dynasty News thing, because I see a lot of people talk about in Dynasty sometimes you throw in a John Ross or something like that or a T. Higgins, but I would just hold on because a lot of people think that those players are going to be type of players that are going to be used a lot this year, but I feel like this solidifies Auden Tate being the receiver across from AJ Green. And then if AJ Green ever goes down, we might run into a situation last year where Auden Tate was pretty fantasy viable.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who believe that AJ Green will go down again at some point. So that's a very viable point, and nice to heart. I mean, he's kind of like a handcuff at wide receiver, which is something that I don't personally do, but he's someone that you should watch on the waiver wire during the season as well. Gunnar Olszewski, second best wide receiver at Patriots camp. This is more bad news for N'Keal Harry.
Yeah.
Or I didn't notice who they said was the best wide receiver. Whether it was Edelman or Harry or whatever, but
I'm a Jacoby. What's his name? Jacoby Myers. Yeah, I have him on my team for one of my dynasty leagues, and I picked up Gunnar Olszewski just for the off chance if he is the next. No, not to be racist, random white dude on the Patriots that turns out to be relevant.
It happens every time, so it's really not racist because how many years now? So, Buffalo rookie Gabriel Davis routinely standing out. I mean, that's good for him, but he's not going to crack that top 4 this year in a low volume passing offense. Like, at least this is why it's dynasty news, because he's a good guy to have. But this year, Stephon Diggs is the 1, John Brown's the 2, Cole Beasley's going to play in that slot role. He will see snaps in 4 wide receiver sets, but how often does Buffalo go into 4 wide receiver sets? So that's my kind of thought process on this. It's good for the long run, but for this season, I'm not expecting much from Davis. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I feel like we can get through these last couple ones pretty quickly.
Yeah, Lynn Bowden hasn't flashed a lot of speed. I mean, he was a former wide receiver, so it's a transition. You just have to make that transition. It's going to take time. Undrafted free agent JaMychal Hasty is impressing in 49ers camp. I think this is kind of interesting, but I've heard so much good things about 49ers running backs as a whole. Like, not only this news about JaMychal Hasty, but also Raheem Mostert's the best
in handcuff.
Yeah. Raheem Mostert's looking like the best running back in camp. Jerick McKinnon is looking phenomenal. I've really not heard much about Tevin Coleman. So all this, I'm kind of worrying a bit about Tevin Coleman. I did move Jerick McKinnon over Tevin Coleman in my recent rankings. JaMychal Hasty is a good stash in Dynasty because it might not be this year, but it's going to come down to a point in time where Raheem Mostert's no longer on this team. I think Jerick McKinnon's on the final year of his deal. I think Tevin Coleman's on the final year of his deal. And I do think that Mostert's on the final year. So JaMychal Hasty could have a bright outlook in this team. Steelers wide receiver Chase Claypool making non-rookie-like plays. I just think it's coach speak. I know you're a Chase Claypool believer from pre-draft, but it's just to say the full quote was like saying that he's doing a lot of non-rookie like things, like not just saying he's making non-rookie like plays, but he's running non-rookie like routes, making non-rookie like at some point it's excessive, and I think you're just trying to brag about a player.
Really, is this a really tall wide receiver? So his contested catches just look really awesome. Like think of Quincy Enunwa or something like that.
And then the Jets, Chris Hogan's working exclusively with the ones.
Thought that was an interesting Dynasty News piece article. If Chris Hogan's floating around on your waiver wires, definitely pick him up.
Yeah, he'll probably get some volume, and he could, see around 50. He could be like a Cole Beasley type of player, and Cole Beasley is owned in a ton of leagues, so that makes sense. Moving on here, redraft news. We'll try and hit these pretty quick as well, and then get into the mock. Logan Thomas is emerging as Washington's number 1 tight end. That's okay, but do you really want Washington's number 1 tight end? Really, all I'm buying in the passing game is Terry McLaurin. Do you feel that same way?
A little bit. I'm buying some Steven Sims Jr. shares and kind of going along my way with it. But yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. Terry McLaurin, by far and away, the best player on that team to draft.
I understand the Steven Sims points as well. Preston Williams, probably better than ever for the Dolphins.
Coach
they said 2 days ago that they weren't sure he was going to be ready for week 1. So this is legit just hyping up a player. That's I mean, it's nice. I'm not going to turn it down, but it's hard to wait for. Cliff Kingsbury believes Christian Kirk is I'm sorry, what does that say?
Ascending player.
Ascending. I agree with that. He's in his 3rd year as a wide receiver, which is when we tend to see that breakout. I think Christian Kirk is the clear number 2 wide receiver this year, ahead of Larry Fitzgerald. So yeah, I'm buying Christian Kirk. I think he's a solid value this year. How do you feel about him?
I'm not really buying Christian Kirk. I bought Christian Kirk last year, and I wouldn't say wasn't disappointed with my returns because I got him later on in the weeks that I really needed him deeper in the year. but I want to see it one time, man. A lot of Christian Kirk plays last year were kind of not what I wanted to see from him last year. I thought he would take a bigger leap in that offense, being the de facto number one wide receiver.
I will argue in favor of Christian Kirk.
He was hurt.
He was hurt. He did have the ankle sprain, which, we watched Saquon Barkley and Alvin Kamara try and play through those same ankle sprains, and they were inefficient. And we're willing to forgive them, but a lot of people aren't willing to forgive Christian Kirk. And I think that's just kind of, weird. I mean, I understand we haven't seen it yet from Christian Kirk, but to me, he's a lot like what you can get with Will Fuller. Like Will Fuller can hit those big plays. He's a really good wide receiver and always had DeAndre Hopkins on the other side of them. And I think those same things can be said of Christian Kirk legitimately. So, Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter expects 15 to 25 weekly touches for Gurley. I don't know about that.
I actually thought this was really interesting because if Todd Gurley's getting the minimum 15 to 25 touches in that offense weekly, then he's slam dunking his ADP price that he's at right now.
But here's first thing I want to say. 15 to 25, that's a big range. Like there's a big difference between 15 touches and 25 touches.
That offense is so potent that all you need is 15 touches from that offense. What we've been dying to see from Devontae Freeman for the last freaking 5 years.
I can almost guarantee you as a Falcons fan that the rushing offense will be atrocious. It's just they put very little into reworking the offensive line, which was a problem last year. Yes, we get a rookie from last year back and healthy now, and he looked pretty good, but it's hard to bank on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would rely more on the receiving game, which, Dirk Cutter is leaving the door open for it. Devonta Freeman got a lot of receptions last season, so hopefully Gurley can get those receptions. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. For the Raiders, Nelson Aguilar, does that say he's looking good in camp?
Basically,
is on a mission.
Mike Maycock is the owner of the team. You said Nelson Aguilar's on a mission. I thought it was just a funny coach speak thing to throw in there.
Yeah, it's Nelson Aguilar. I'm not.
Next one.
Yeah, I'm not buying Nelson Aguilar, no matter what you tell me. Jets, Darnold, and Herndon's chemistry has really blossomed. Herndon's, I mean, there's not much more to say other than Herndon is definitely worth the late round shot to be that next breakout tight end. He has the tools, and we were going through this last offseason about Herndon and Darnold, building a connection and all this. So, I'm not opposed to drafting Herndon in the final round to see if he breaks out. I assume you feel the same way.
Yes, man. I definitely stock up for Chris Herndon because one of my biggest fears for Chris Herndon was he was going to split snaps with Ryan Griffin because Ryan Griffin wasn't that bad in himself of a fantasy tight end last year for the weeks that he played. So my biggest fear was that they would split snaps. But this kind of solidifies that Herndon's going to be the breakout tight end that everybody wants to get later, closer to their drafts. Drafts are happening now. So
yeah. Josh Allen hoping to run less often this season for the Bills, and Zach Moss is going to be a factor in the passing game. As far as Allen, I don't know how much I believe it.
I kind of expected this because, dude, if he keeps on running like that, man, I mean, he's due to regress regardless, but this definitely buys into the people that aren't buying into Josh Allen like me. But I thought the Zach Moss news is very interesting because you kind of get into the 7th and 8th round nowadays if you're doing drafts this week and be like, man, do I want to get Devin Singletary right here? And then you're like, man, I don't know, man. Zach Moss, we don't know what the coaches know or what the GM knows. Zach Moss actually might be a thing this year.
I think that Devin Singletary will be a low-end option with low upside So he's kind of a guy I'm open to having as my RB4. But because I think Zach Moss is going to eat touchdown work, and Josh Allen, I still believe Josh Allen's going to run because when push comes to shove and they want to win the football game, Josh Allen is going to make them win football games. Yes, he's going to hope to run less because he has Stephon Diggs, and he didn't have Stephon Diggs last year. But like I said, when push comes to shove and he needs a first down and Stephon Diggs is covered, he's going to start running,
Yeah.
Tennessee Titans, Tannehill says Derrick Henry is catching more confidently. I'm willing to take Derrick Henry whether he's catching the football or not, but this is more of a thing for me where I'd rather see it first.
I don't think they have an option.
Yeah, Darrington Evans. I mean, even when Deion Lewis was playing last season, he was very irrelevant. Even like when he was on the field, he was kind of ignored. So I mean, like Derrick Henry is really, it's either him or Evans, and I don't know that you necessarily want to put a rookie out there on passing downs when you have Derrick Henry. Washington football team, Antonio Gibson seeing a fair amount of first team reps. I've also heard that Bryce Love is the clear number 2. So I have no idea where to go with this backfield. Because of that, I'm not opposed to taking the shot on Gibson because I think he's the most talented back in this backfield, but he's a little pricey right now. I'm more inclined to draft Bryce Love in the very, very last round.
Call me
drafts.
stupid. Give me
AP. Bears, Foles inches ahead of Trubisky in the quarterback competition. This is one that I'm not excited about. I'm
excited for my Allen Robinson shares because freaking Trubisky freaking sucks, dude.
I don't think
Foles can hit a wide open target.
I feel like Foles is a slight upgrade, but slight. And it's
slight. But the slightest is all you need. Dude, Allen Robinson has been playing with
Allen Robinson is
Blake Bortles and Mitchell Trubisky, man. You can't make that up, bro.
Packers, Allen Lazard solidifying the belief that he can be the wide receiver too. I understand this is like the direct quote, solidifying their belief that he can be the wide receiver too. Like that's just too much for. I think he'll be the wide receiver too, but it's just weird how they're saying it. You feel me?
Not that weird. They've been saying this since the off season, so I just thought it was a nice little redraft news because Allen Lazard's a name that everybody forgets about, but later on, deep in your drafts, man, think about the days when we used to draft Aaron Rodgers wide receiver 2 in like the first 5 rounds. Times have
top days.
Yeah, times have changed.
Gardner Minshew and Tyler Eifert showing off solid connection at camp. I mean, Eifert's another guy where I think he's always been talented, but injuries are a question mark. I'm not sure you want to buy into an older Tyler Eifert on a worse offense.
He's just a good name for in your redraft leagues. If he's in your waivers, just put a flag on him. You might need a tight end streaming option, and remember Tyler Eifert's there. Can you hear me? Yeah, man. If you're not going with Christian McCaffrey at the 101, you are doing it wrong. Bro, I'm so confused. Join the How about now? Huge wide receiver room right there. Cam Akers is one of my favorite sleepers for the upcoming season. And we'll go. Scary Terry. also just spent up on a quarterback, so we definitely need a running back here.